What is going on, everyone? It's Colin, and welcome to episode 22 of the Don't Revive Me Bro Community Battlefield podcast. And tonight, we have a couple of special guests with us. First, we have Alex, aka xRegardsx, who is the new community manager of Don't Revive Me Bro. And also, we have a man who's recently converted from console to PC gaming and has seems to have fallen in love with Battlefield. He's a very excellent Call of Duty player. Actually, recently was the winner of the Call of the Community charity tournament. Also, the best Homefront player on YouTube, perhaps. I'd like to introduce you guys to the man who is the reason that my Twitter feed cries itself to sleep at night, Mr. xNaSaoNe.
Yeah. What's good, everybody?
Perfect.
I'm trying to be smoother with these intros. I don't know if I'm doing any good, but right on.
Yeah, so tonight, guys, we've got xNaSaoNe on. We will talk about him switching from Call of Duty to Battlefield, what he thinks is going to win this fall, Battlefield 3 or Modern Warfare 3. And as well, we're welcoming back Alex, xRegardsx, to talk about a lot of stuff going on with the Don't Revive Me Bro community. He's the new community manager to help us out with all sorts of things. So, welcome, Alex.
Hello again.
Right on, guys. So, NASA, for those hiding under a rock that may not know who you are, do you want us to give us a quick rundown of?
Yeah, I'm a director for Machinima Respawn. I started off on YouTube doing mostly Call of Duty videos, but gaming in general. I started off with Halo 2, then transitioned to Battlefield 2, Modern Combat on console. Then, I went through some like Forza 3 and then some little games in between. And then once Bad Company came out, I was hoping to stay with the Battlefield series. And that game was such a letdown. That's when I completely converted over to Call of Duty. And I've been playing mostly that for the last few years now. And just recently, I started doing console gaming because I had to buy a new PC as far as for my YouTube channel to upload and render and stuff like that. It was time to upgrade because my laptop wasn't cutting it. And I figured since my computer was good enough, let me try PC gaming. And Battlefield, I figured, was the way to go, to start off with as far as PC gaming. Not to play Call of Duty, I'd rather start off with Battlefield 2 because I heard good things about it. I just never gave it a try. So I figured let me try it on PC. And ever since then, it's just been great for me so far.
Perfect. Now, you're primarily a COD player, and I know you're self-complained, or you called yourself the best Homefront player on YouTube. Why do you think Homefront didn't last?
Well, simple answer is the release was as bad as a release as you can go. When the game first came out, I bought it right away. I tried to get into games with people. You couldn't connect with people at all. The whole party would get dropped. So you could never play with anybody. So everybody had to play on their own. With a game with 32 players online, you don't want to play by yourself. So you were stuck playing by yourself. And then there were some lag issues. I didn't have much, but I know some people were complaining about like really bad lag, especially people overseas. And some people had this freeze glitch where the first screen would freeze and you couldn't even play the game, period. So it was like you just had a wasted game. You either had to make a new account and pay $50. Well, on PS3 you could just make a new one, I guess. But on a Xbox you had to pay for a whole new subscription just to play online because of this glitch that they didn't fix for a while. So you had the freeze glitch. People couldn't get into parties. They were disconnecting, and I think as far as that goes, that turned a lot of people off. And then also, Call of Duty community is so into like this mindset of I just want to get in, kill a whole bunch of people, get 1 million kills, that it just wasn't it wasn't a game that people could relate to. Coming from Call of Duty to that was too much of a jump, I think. And I think a lot of people couldn't transition to it, and a lot of commentators, they didn't jump on the bandwagon either. I know I heavily supported it, and Hutch and CNanners has supported it when it first came out, but they kind of like drifted away from it. And, a lot of the community, they follow what people are posting and what people are playing. And a lot of people was bashing it. And, like, websites like IGN and everything, they were killing it in the ratings. Like, the ratings they were getting were horrible. So a lot of people just go off reviews and they'll choose whether they're going to buy a game or not off reviews. and you know, they got bad reviews on top of the problems with the connections and everything, and that freeze problem, and nobody playing it on YouTube, and I think it just never even had a chance to like get born into a game, you know, for people to play, and I think that's really what was the downfall of it.
Agree that, you know, it was 3 weeks to a month before they fixed those freezing issues. I remember trying to make a live commentary with a couple friends, and the whole thing turned into a joke because we couldn't get into a game together. It was basically a 10-minute video of us failing to try and play the game.
Yeah, I bought it, went out and picked it up the morning it released, and I think I got 2 or 3 rounds in game and spent hours sitting in the lobby trying to connect. It was just...
No, I don't know. I don't think it was necessarily the fact that you could only play by yourself. It's just the fact that there's so many randoms, just because you have larger teams. So, I mean... Like in Battlefield for consoles anyway, you know, you can't really get more than 4 people unless you take your time to get people in, like we did with that open lobby we did last week. And that was amazing. But it was so different because you can't really do that often, especially with both teams. So in Homefront, you have 1, maybe 2 people, and with 16 people you've never played with, and the majority of people are casual gamers, and you know, that just really was a letdown because you can never guarantee a win or really pull the team all the way, you know, to the finish line. It really stunk in that sense.
Yeah, and also too, what I was telling people, yeah, like you said, in a game like Call of Duty, it's such a small amount of players that 1 person out of 6, that's a way bigger impact on the game than 1 person out of 16. So you have a lot less impact on your own. So to equal your 1 person in Call of Duty, you need at least 3-4 players on Homefront to equal the same impact you guys could generate for the team. So a lot of people just can't do it by themselves, or they just get frustrated because, you know, at least about half your team or less is in the back with snipers. So you have nobody helping you out, capturing no flags. And then a lot of people don't like running rockets because a lot of people are selfish. They don't want to run the streaks or the equipment to help the team. So like if a tank comes out or something like that, or them little drones and everything, nobody's shooting it down. Nobody's supporting anything because everybody wants to run like the streaks to get you kills. And it's just the mindset of kills. You know, a lot of people now, they don't play games like you guys say. They don't play the objective. You know, they just want to play to boost their score up, to have a nice game, to have a high KD, to go 50-1, because that's what they've been, you know, made to think that games are only fun if you're going, you know, 10 KD in a game. That's the only way you can have fun. But they don't realize games like Homefront and stuff like that, it's not about getting 1,000,000 kills. I mean, you can get a lot of kills, of course, but it's about winning the game. And I think the way they make games nowadays, you know, Call of Duty and other games, they want you to play to, like, everything they put in the game is to benefit yourself. So everybody's mentality is always, what's going to help me first, you know what I mean? Not what's going to help the team. So I don't think games like Homefront and Battlefield get too popular because they don't focus on the individual player getting rewarded for what they're doing. It's more towards the team that gets rewarded. And I don't think people like to play, you know, team games. I think a lot of people really just play for themselves nowadays.
Well, it's actually interesting you should say that, because one of the questions we wanted to ask you, you put out a video yesterday or the day before talking about, you know, Medal of Honor maybe being a bit of a hidden gem of a game. And they did implement score chain rewards that would reward the individual. So you had the ability to call in either offensive or defensive score chains. Offensive were something that was, you know, it's going to get you kills. Maybe a very good idea to use them strategically, but you had the defensive score chains that help the whole team, and you get points for it. But even with that in play, Medal of Honor still, I think, flopped really, really bad. So, you know, you've played it a little bit. Do you think that it flopped for similar reasons that Homefront did? Was it, you know, a bunch of the folks that were transitioning from Call of Duty to Medal of Honor who were used to kills, not playing objectives? Or do you think it was something else that caused that to not be successful?
Yeah, well, I got Medal of Honor really late. Like, I just played it for the first time about a week ago, but I never bought it just because I was still in the mix of playing all these other games that I'm not really a person. I don't like to really play like too many games at one time, so I never really played Medal of Honor, and even me myself, I never seen really anybody playing it. I didn't really see it around YouTube, so it never crossed my mind to even think of getting into it. But when I asked people what turned them off about the game, everybody it was almost like a wash. Everybody said snipers in the back of the map, no kill cams. That's one thing that people hated that I hear a lot. And yeah, they said everybody sits in the back of the map, they snipe, they just try to get the score change so they could get all these kills. And yeah, I think it's the mindset of the selfish player. You know, they don't want to, like, to them it's like, why would I give my team armor when I could get myself 7 more kills? You know what I mean? So, and then there's no kill cams. So it to me, any game that doesn't have some sort of kill cams, or it's just, it don't have to be the kill cam itself, but even like Battlefield where it shows the player, or how Battlefield 2 was, it was kind of like how Bad Company is, except it was like a further cam and it showed you where they were at in the general area and the camera followed them. But with games with no kill cam, people really have no reason to move anywhere. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people don't like that. They don't like the feeling of getting shot from like across the map or something. It gives you like a helpless feeling that you can't retaliate because you don't know where they're at. You don't. They could easily just move to a different spot and then kill you over and over again. And I think that's why Medal of Honor didn't do too good, because people don't want to play. First of all, people just don't want to play games that get them frustrated. You know, so getting killed over and over by a guy that you can't ever spot is frustrating. You know.
Yeah, the thing is, you know, a lot of people will argue that they want realism in the games, and kill cams ruin games. And I mean, these are players, I think, that would tend to prefer sort of hardcore game modes.
Yeah.
And, you know, for me, realism, I like games where, you know, you can't blatantly, you know, defy the laws of physics and stuff, but I'm not playing a video game to try and replicate the experience of being in war. I'm there to have some fun, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, kill cams and that sort of thing, there should be an option. You know, there should be playlists. If you want to play with them, you play with them. If you want to play without them, you play without them. Medal of Honor felt like, in core mode, sort of felt like hardcore light. You had the mini map and stuff like that, but no kill cam, and you seem to die really fast. And, you know, snipers were overpowered, in my opinion, when it first came out. So, you know, there was just a ton of problems. And snipers wouldn't have been too bad once they implemented I think they changed it so you needed to get headshots, but there was no bullet drop or travel time in Medal of Honor. Like, it was kind of like a similar mechanic to Call of Duty. Like, you put the crosshair on them, and, you know, where the crosshair is on their body when you pull the trigger, that's where your bullet hits. So, you know, I think those things added up to a lot of frustration. The maps were too small. The spawn system needed a lot of work. But, you know, I don't think that DICE was putting a lot of focus on it. I think they were trying out some things with, you know, with the graphics and you know, some of the gameplay mechanics to feed into Battlefield 3. But I think that they seem to have learned some lessons from that, and they're taking feedback very seriously for Battlefield 3.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to pacing. That's another thing that's real important with video games that people don't realize. Pacing, like when people complain about ghosts and stuff like that in Call of Duty, for example, it's not so much the perks that get people pissed off. It's just that it ruins the pacing of the game. You know, when people play games online, you want a game that's fast-paced. You want a game that, you know, you're constantly doing something in the mix. That's why I don't mind games like Homefront and Battlefield, because you could always keep going for the flags and everything, and there's always a pace to the game, and there's always something going on. Games like, well, for me, I like playing like Team Deathmatch, and the pacing gets completely destroyed when people like camp or don't move around and stuff like that. And pacing is what I think developers need to focus on in their games more than anything, because no matter how good a game is and you know, how good you make the guns or the kill streaks or the perks or whatever, if the game has a bad pacing, it's just going to be a huge turnoff. So like the pacing in Medal of Honor is probably like a turnoff, because you might even feel like you can't go anywhere because you're afraid you're just going to get shot from some random area, and that just kills the pacing of the game. And a lot of people play like Battlefield, they don't want to jump on flags and just keep getting killed over and over again, so they'll like flank around the edges of the map and stuff like that, and then say they don't see anybody, you know what I mean? And that's the pacing, you know, and they get this thing in their head that, oh, this game's boring, it's slow, I can't see anybody. But, you know, I like games like Battlefield and Homefront because you create the pace, and that's what I think makes a great game is fast pace, and that's what I think is really the most important thing.
Yeah, like people that complain about the pace of Bad Company 2, like some of the big Call of Duty players were like, it's too slow paced, the maps are too big. It's like you need to get used to the tools. You can't play it like it's Call of Duty. So if you start a game of Rush on one of the bigger maps or Conquest or something, and you're just going to start sprinting, then yeah, it's going to be slow paced because you're nowhere near the objective. You have to get used to the tools that are available to you. You know, whether it's transport choppers or quad bikes or LAVs or whatever it is, get yourself into the action, and then I think the pacing is awesome. As long as you're in and around a combat area in a fight for a flag, you know, it can be extremely intense. Now, most people that are making statements like that played up to like level 10 and then dropped the game, right? So I don't consider it to be valid, but again, you know, you have people that have an incredibly large following on YouTube that can really set trends and around the YouTube community especially. And I think it hurts a game when the community of YouTube, even though that is not the majority of the people that play the game, but if you don't get that hype and the marketing going and people supporting it, then I think that's a problem. So I'm interested actually to get your thoughts, NASA, and Regards. How do you think that Battlefield 3 is going to play out on Machinima Respawn? Because I know on Next Gen Tactics we are very anxiously awaiting Battlefield 3. I know that NGT is gonna support Battlefield 3 a lot, and also Modern Warfare 3. So both games are going to be featured. But, the guys are definitely hugely supportive of the Battlefield series. Do you see the same sort of thing playing out on Respawn? Or, yeah. I guess that's my
Regards.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, Machinima Respawn, I mean, they'll even tell you, Stark and everybody that back there, they know that Call of Duty was really the thing that got it going, just because Call of Duty was a fad right off the bat. It was, a revolution with Call of Duty 4 and on from there. But Battlefield 3, and I mean, you could see from even that picture you guys, one of you guys posted on the Facebook, Battlefield 3 is going to be taken over, and there comes the whole idea of, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, regarding the directors and what we put out versus what people want to see and which one influences the other, more so. And I personally think that directors are gonna just play what they want to, play what they know people want to see, and it's just a mixture of the two. So I think it's gonna be just a great Battlefield 3 fest, because I mean that's just what's gonna happen. I mean, from what everything everybody's seeing, that's it's gonna turn to a Battlefield 3 laden community video channel.
The thing is that
channel.
People that have touched Battlefield 3 who can get past some of the issues that were in the alpha build. It's not like anything that you've ever played before. It is on that next level. So, if DICE do their job correctly, and they've implemented a team deathmatch mode, I'm assuming that's going to be sort of infantry only or infantry focused. I've also heard rumblings of infantry only playlists. The stuff that they've put into the game is just it's amazing. It's amazing. It's so immersive. It really is the next level, and I hope that that gets embraced, and to the point where it's to the point where you don't feel disadvantaged, I guess, as a YouTuber who wants to post Battlefield 3. But again, I'm not really out there to try and make maximize my profits off of YouTube. So, if that's not going to get quite as many views as Modern Warfare 3, I don't really give a shit. I'm going to play Battlefield 3. But, well, you know what? I'm going to play them both, and I'm going to play the one that I prefer. But, I've had the opportunity to touch Battlefield 3, so I can pretty much guarantee you which game I'm going to wind up playing, right? So, it's, yeah, like, I think that there are different mindsets, right? Some people are going to try and maximize their views, their ad revenue, and others are going to play the game they legitimately want to play. And I think that Call of Duty is so successful because it's really easy to pick up and do reasonably well. Like, you have the instant gratification. It's easy to learn And really, it's not that difficult to master. Like I can go into a Call of Duty lobby, and as long as I play it smart, I can do really well. And I don't play Call of Duty all that much anymore. But with Battlefield, I think one of the complaints is that it's not quite as accessible, and it's not as easy to just pick it up and do well right out of the gate. I didn't like Bad Company 2 the first couple of days I played it, and then things started gradually coming to me. And I think that DICE has kind of realized that, so they're going to try and make a game that that have some game modes that people can pick up and play and see the immediate gratification. But then, when you get into some of the intricacies of large conquest maps, or the tactics you're going to need to do well in rush mode, that sort of thing, I think they're really setting it up so that Team Deathmatch is learning mode for COD noobs, and then you can kind of graduate into the objective games. So,
yeah. I have a feeling that the majority of the people are gonna go towards the ad revenue direction, because even now there are other games out there to play besides Call of Duty, and you still see almost largely nobody playing any other games. Because I mean, you go to anybody's channel and you look at the COD views compared to anything else, and the drop off is ridiculous. So
yeah, well, for FPS centric channels, I think that
exactly.
StarCraft beats the snot out of Call of Duty in certain arenas.
Yeah, but I mean, most of the Respawn directors, they're mostly like FPS guys, and I'm sorry. So I think a lot of people, they really go towards the ad revenue, because of course everybody wants to make money, which is fine, but it's like, if let's say you post a Battlefield 3, let's say you get like half the views of a Modern Warfare 3 video, a lot of people, they don't feel gratified with that. They want to feel like, oh, more people are watching, they want to see this, this is what they want. Nobody's watching my Battlefield 3 videos. But then in turn, I think that makes people start saying like, oh, well, how's Battlefield 3? Why you don't post it? And they'll start saying, the game's not too good, or it's slow paced, and they start making excuses and putting down the game.
Yeah, when you're trying to gain views, obviously you're going to try and market what you're posting, right? So if you can convince your viewer base that you're not missing anything by leaving this channel to go find someone who is posting Battlefield 3, then that's going to help your view count out as well. So people have to realize that with YouTube channels making money, in some cases, there's a certain element of sales and marketing going on within the videos. So, take what is said with a grain of salt, and don't trust one person's opinion. Shop around, get a number of different opinions about a game, because, if you have that one go-to YouTuber who's saying wonderful things about a particular game, that could be because, they're trying to hype it up, they're trying to maximize their views, they're trying to maximize their revenue. And it's buyer beware, I guess, when it comes to YouTube channels. Although you're not paying any money, just be open-minded and don't take one person's opinion. Definitely shop around, and I understand that some people that are sub to YouTube are younger, maybe don't have the money to go get both games. But if you have the wherewithal to buy Battlefield 3 and Modern Warfare 3, for example, and you like shooter games, then you should try them out for yourself.
Yeah,
and also, go with what you enjoy. Don't go with with what the cool kids are playing. Like although the cool kids will be playing Battlefield 3, just make sure that you find a game that's enjoyable. And the way that I kind of structure my channel, with a job and kids and that sort of thing, like I don't have time to play all of these different games. And I like my job. I'm not trying to replace that income with YouTube money. So I'm not going to spend time playing a game I don't enjoy just to try and get views and money out of YouTube. And if there's nothing that I want to play, then I won't. I'll stop making videos if there's nothing out there that I can find to play, which I know is not going to be the case. But it's just not about that's how I tend to roll. And I think that the folks here on the call and yourself, NASA, seem to be kind of like-minded there. That gaming is supposed to be an enjoyable thing. For me, YouTube is very enjoyable and very rewarding, but I'm not going to go play a game that I don't enjoy just in order to be popular. So If it turns out I hate Battlefield 3, then I don't know what I'll do.
Yeah, and also I think a lot of people their channels are centered around like awesome gameplay and them looking like really good at the games they play. And I don't think Battlefield's a game that's meant for you to dominate and go like a 50-2 and stuff like that. I think it's a game that's meant for you to, die and get killed. I mean, I haven't played it much, but I don't know if there's much players on there who have like 5 KDs and 6 KDs, you know what I mean? But to me, that kind of game is not a game where it's meant for you to just completely, dominate like that and just not get killed. It's a game where you're gonna die a lot. That's why you got to run medics and have support guys and everything, and you could spawn on teammates because the game is made for you to go and try to do stuff and get killed and then be able to spawn back into the action, get revived and stuff like that. And I don't think people could look awesome, like, you know what I mean? They don't feel like they can justify who they're known to be in a game like a Battlefield where they can't just completely dominate. Like, even me, I'll post Battlefield games and some people will leave comments like, oh, I want to see you beasting in Battlefield, in Call of Duty. I don't want to see you playing average on Battlefield. You know what I mean? But I could go and capture flags and we could win the game or something like that. But they'll still look at that as an average gameplay because they just want to see their favorite commentator or just even the commentator themselves. They just want to post videos of them looking like supreme top dog. And I don't think you can make gameplays like that in a Battlefield.
Well, I think it depends. Like, so if your channel comes from a background where they're used to seeing you absolutely beasting, then when you switch to Battlefield, it is a bit of a shift in mentality that your subscribers have to go through to realize that the game plays differently. But if you have a Battlefield-centric channel and you post a game, like if you're going 50-1 in a Battlefield game, chances are it was an absolute run through of the other team, and you're spawn killing them. So the Battlefield community will just call you out on that. And I mean, I think in my Q&A video, I was the game I played with you, NASA, and we pushed them back and we were just shooting them and they're uncapped. But what do you want me to do? Half of you are sitting back there sniping. But like Battlefield, people who are fans of Battlefield recognize that as it doesn't matter what my score was, and it doesn't even matter that we win. That's a shitty game. And there are some people out there who post those sorts of videos and do that to pad their stats and basically brag about their high KD in Battlefield. It's like, well, if you're infantry and you're in tough against another team and you're trying to go cap flags, arm objectives, disarm objectives, and stuff like that, you're going to die. So, not everyone has to bum rush an objective. There's different roles to play, but, judging people based on, kill-death ratio in a Battlefield game that's objective-oriented is just stupid. And anyone who, and mind you, I'm going to say, like, I've played with players who are beast objective players, infantry-focused beast objective players with 3 KDs, but they aren't the guys that brag about their KD.
Yeah, like I've played. I was playing earlier today, right before we started the podcast, and the game I got into, we were losing at first, and we came back, took 2 flags, and we ended up triple capping them, and the team still had like a nice ticket lead, probably like 50 tickets, and all these guys are like way on the edges of the map, on top of the rooftops, just like getting kills and picking people off, and for the rest of the whole match, they didn't grab another flag. Like, nobody on the other team tried to get a flag, period. They were all just one guy was on top with Gustavs with I don't know what it's called, extra damage for the explosives, just shooting people like that. And then there was another guy like sniping like way away from everything, and there was a guy camping in the back of our spawn killing people and stuff. And I'm like, nobody in that whole lobby was trying to do anything towards winning that match. They all were just trying to get kills, and everybody on the losing team was like 40-10, 45-12, and everybody on the winning team had like 1 KDs, but they won the game, and these guys all just sitting back, and it's like I don't think people even are concerned with winning sometimes. They really honestly just want to get their own kills, and they can care less about like anything else that's going on in the match.
Yeah, and Battlefield is not immune to that. In a recent game that we were allowed to play but not talk about, a lot of people that were claiming, bad things about it and discussing that in forums were like Battlefield 2 veterans and stuff like that, and just being obnoxious assholes talking about their KD, and then you were able to actually go and check their stats, and luckily they have objective points there. So certain people, some of them are very well known, some of them aren't, that were bragging about kill death ratios, had next to 0 objective points. So fuck off, it's rush mode. I don't care about your opinion.
That's nice to see.
0 objective points. You had to shoot somebody, in the area of an MCOM station to get like 20 objective points. So, what are you doing? You're judging a game that you're not even playing. Like, you are out playing hockey on a football field and telling me that this game you're playing sucks.
Now, what do you think is the what do you think has that mindset going? Because like I never ever tried. Like, some people sometimes be like, "Oh, you be pub stomping. You're a pub star and all that stuff and everything, and you're try hard or whatever." But I've never sat down and played any game with the thought in mind of, "Oh, I gotta get this gameplay, for YouTube." Never. As much as anybody wants to believe anything, I've never ever sat down and tried to get a gameplay. I play the games for fun. If I'm having a good time, I get a good score, I'll post it. If I don't get a good score, then I don't have no videos to post. I won't post anything. But, I don't play for those scores, and I don't see, like, every game I've ever played, I really do just play to have fun and play the game. And some people, like I went to Black Ops today for the first time in a while, and there's people who, like, I'll be running around, and there was a guy, like, he was sitting in the corner, he'll just put a claymore at his knees and stay there. And I'm like, who could who could put themselves through that to play games like that and call that a good time, And I don't know if it's just console specific, because on PC I don't see much. I know I see a lot of guys, sometimes they'll be away from the objective, sniping and stuff like that, but it just seems to be a lot more rampant on console. But a lot of people seem to play like that sometimes. They'll just, like, they really won't be playing the game at all, They'll just be doing their own little thing on the side. And I don't understand it. I'll even ask them sometimes, like, why are you even playing this game? Because, one, you're not even good at the game. And then, two, it's not that you're just not good, but you're not good and you're not even playing the game to try to win, You're, like, making your team lose and you're not good at the same time. And
you're not. There are certain play styles that if you just continue to do that because you're not good, then you're not going to get any better. And, I don't have any issues with players that aren't good at the game, because everyone's got to start somewhere. But if you don't push yourself to try and improve, then you're not going to improve. And if you're having fun, then yes, technically you can play it the way you want. I don't see how people have fun sitting by a claymore, but that's just me. But again, if you're in an objective game type and you're doing that sort of thing, then that's also kind of selfish. You're sucking the fun out of it for other people, and that's kind of when I get irritated. And I'll play with anyone, anytime. Like, I don't, if I'm reaching out for people to play with, I don't care what your rank is, I don't care what your stats are. I just want you to come on the team and try. And if you have a question or anything, then I'm happy to answer it. And if you're a really experienced, skilled player, then I'm willing to take feedback. Like, it goes both ways. I want to improve my game, and if somebody else wants to come in and try and improve, then I think that's fantastic. But just sitting around and not trying to improve, I mean, well.
Yeah, like, the reason I tried on PC and I tried different games with Battlefield specifically is because I wanted to try to learn a new game and get better at it, and get better at PC gaming in general. And a lot of people just don't want to do that, They don't want to put in the time and effort to get better. And even simple things like, oh, well, a tank could kill me over and over again in Battlefield. But it's like, well, pull out an engineer kit, kill the tank, destroy the tank, and problem solved, But people don't want to put forth the effort to adjust their play style. It's like, if you're a Slayer, people just want to be a Slayer, nothing else. You know, and
That's
then people, you know, and then people objectives, they just play the objective, nothing else. Like people don't ever want to learn multiple things to be able to deal with infantry vehicles. I think it's just too much thinking. I think people don't want to feel like they have to think when they're playing these games. They just want to be able to look and just, you know, react and not really put much thought into it.